Do you want to talk about Mortal Kombat? We can talk about Mortal Kombat. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat.
I'm talking about my life. I'm not just talking about one person, I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about form. I'm talking about content. I'm talking about interrelationships. I'm talking about God, the devil, hell, heaven. Do you understand? Finally!
I put on another shirt because I'm a little self-conscious. Mortal Kombat makes my head hurt a little. The video games are insanely popular, and they have been since 1992. However, whenever an attempt is made to bring these characters to the big screen, the results are usually pretty hit or miss. Now, in 1995, the first attempt to bring Mortal Kombat to the big screen was met with some criticism, mainly from fans, who didn't like the idea that there was no blood in the movie. There's supposed to be blood in Mortal Kombat. That's the whole point of Mortal Kombat. Is there a cheat code I can enter in the DVD menu to unlock the blood? But still, at least in 1995, that Mortal Kombat film had a coherent story, an engaging narrative, and a fucking killer soundtrack. What it lacked in blood and guts, it made up for with honest character work. Since then, Mortal Kombat has seen a few attempts at a reboot to varying degrees of success. And although objectively, those reboots have been pretty good, they never found the audience they needed to really sustain themselves. The latest attempt, Mortal Kombat 2021 I'm gonna call it, is now in theaters and on HBO Max. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the marketing for this new film has been impressive. It promises blood, it promises violence, and it promises a massive nostalgia boner. So what went wrong? Why does the movie feel so empty and so forgettable, but I can still pop the 95 version in and recite every line of dialogue from memory? I think I know what the problem is, and I'll outline it here. Now, a fair warning, I am going to get into spoilers here for the 2021 film, so be aware of that. Now, I know it's a little unfair to compare two movies that came out about 30 years apart, but I think it's appropriate considering they both try to tell the same basic story. I want to go over some of the things I feel 95 did right and 2021 was lacking in. To start with, I want to talk about the main characters of both movies. Now, in 1995, Mortal Kombat focused its attention on Liu Kang. While Liu Kang was never the most popular character in the video games at the time, honestly, who can compete with characters like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden? He did make for a perfect audience surrogate in that he was a pretty normal middle-class guy, but then he has a dream about his brother's murder. The story is told pretty succinctly and really stylishly, while at the same time it introduces Shang Tsung as the main bad guy of the film, and establishes him as a pretty powerful, considerably evil dude. Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage are also introduced, and their characters are fleshed out really well, but there's never a doubt who the main character is. Now in 2021, they decided to go for more of an ensemble approach. Jax, Sonya, and Kano are three of the main group, and they're joined by new character Cole Young. Cole Young is an aging, has-been Ultimate Fighter. He was born with a birthmark that brands him as a champion destined to compete in this tournament. Now, the film tries to put equal focus onto all these main characters, but then at the same time, it includes Liu Kang, popular character Kung Lao, Raiden, and a completely unnecessary and convoluted Heir of Scorpion subplot. MK21 takes a painful amount of time to get going. It's constantly flooring the gas and slamming on the brakes time and time again. To begin, we get a very cool sequence set in feudal Japan, which fleshes out the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, two of the series' most popular and enduring characters. The fight is brutal and bloody, and it makes enormous promises that the film just can't quite keep. And then from that point, the film grinds to a halt. Cole is boring, the plot is overburdened with excess characters, and the action in the film lacks critical motivation. With the exception of the Scorpion Sub-Zero showdown, none of the final battles have any real personal stakes to them. Recognizable set pieces from the games are misused, while other settings are boring and take away a lot of the mystique and power of these characters. Let me give you an example. The pit is arguably the most recognizable location in the entire Mortal Kombat franchise. It's a slim bridge over a pit of bloody spikes with scattered human remains still clinging to them. Even more recognizable than the pit itself is the ever-popular combo of using an uppercut to send your dizzy opponent to a bloody death below. In at least two instances in the film, Cole Young is praised for his magnificent uppercut.
Throw your uppercut!
You see where I'm going here, right? You have the pit setting, and a character who is specifically set up as a master of the uppercut. Well, think again, because it's used for Jax to fight throwaway villain General Reiku in 2 brief scenes. No one even ends up falling into the pit. Now, that's not to say the movie is completely bad. There's plenty of stuff this movie did really well. There's plenty of fan service, and a lot of nods to the old video games.
Kano wins.
Flawless victory.
Sub-Zero's characterization is perfect. He's a merciless, cold-hearted murderer, and his rivalry with Scorpion is really well fleshed out. You feel Scorpion's need for revenge, and you feel Sub-Zero's superiority. I can't decide if I like it or not that Kano immediately turns on his friends as soon as he's offered any kind of money. It seems very in character, but it also undoes a lot of what the movie had been building to that point. My real problem is that Kano is with the good guys to begin with. I believe Kano could have served his purpose on Shang Tsung's team from the beginning of the movie, the same way he did in 1995. And sometimes his dialogue sounds like a 14-year-old wrote it.
Lucky for you, I don't have any standards. Let's see if you're a natural blonde.
All that being said, Kano is the most enjoyable part of this movie. There's another egregious error I want to address, and that error takes the form of Outworld's Prince Goro. I don't know about anyone else, but when I played Mortal Kombat 1 as a child, Goro was an unstoppable behemoth, and he felt like much more of a final boss than Shang Tsung in the original game. Now, when I saw the 1995 Mortal Kombat film, Goro was exactly what I pictured. A towering monster taking out everybody in his path. We learn in the film that Goro is the reason Outworld has won so many times. Not because they're cheating, but just because Goro is that powerful. And the practical effects they use to bring Goro to the screen haven't aged that poorly. Now in 2021, Goro is a computer-generated monster who doesn't speak. Shang Tsung introduces him briefly, but we don't really see him until he's fighting Cole Young in the backyard of a farmhouse. In the end, Mortal Kombat 2021 is an aimless, confusing slog, filled with half-finished characters bent on hurling enough nostalgic imagery into your eyes to make you ignore the glaring plot holes and questionable editing choices. While I don't go into movies like this one expecting Oscar-winning performances, I do expect a coherent and engaging plot with entertaining and recognizable characters. You simply can't bake a cake with only one ingredient. And what MK21 has here is nothing more than a bag of bloody sugar.